Hey, what's going on, everybody? Steve here, Raiken Profit over RaikenProfit.com. Coming back to you with another video. I'm here with my good friend TJ. What's up, man?
What's up, man? Glad to have me here.
Yeah, I had you on the channel a couple years ago.
Yep.
When we were doing the Connecticut thrifting meetup. I'm in Connecticut. You live in, I believe, the Mass area.
Yep.
And TJ is a full-time bookseller and DVD seller. I know you sell some other random items as well. You're doing over 6 figures, you're trying to get to 7 figures. He does a lot of cherry picking, thrifting. You're also into bulk books nowadays. And in this video, we're gonna talk about how a beginner could start selling books on Amazon FBA. So let's get right into it. What's the number one tip you would give to somebody who wants to get started selling books? Or maybe what's a big mistake that a lot of people make when they first start?
Using the right software. So I would definitely recommend not using the Amazon app. Probably want to use Scout IQ. Basically, it's just book software that lets you scan faster than the Amazon app. It has some built-in triggers, so it kind of takes some of the
and what's a trigger?
Out of it. Trigger is basically when you scan a book, if it accepts or rejects based on the parameters. So whether it'll make you money or whether it won't make you money.
Yeah, you could literally just put headphones into your ear and you could scan the books and it'll go da-ding and give you like a little green light if it's a winner, and it'll go da-ding and show you red if it's a loser. So instead of you having to like analyze everything with the Amazon seller app, it like makes a decision for you.
Exactly, yeah. Doesn't mean necessarily that you should take it. You still want to look at the data, and because there's a lot of false positives, and there's also a fair amount of rejects that could be an accept.
I always double check with the Amazon seller app because Scout IQ is having to pull from the API, so some stuff is off, but 95% of the time it's good. Like I recommend only scanning with Scout IQ, get all the winners for the most part, and then double check it.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if you're at a thrift store, they're not too expensive. So even if you mess up on a few, it's not the end of the world. So
for someone who's brand new, obviously you're selling over 6 figures. You've been doing this for how many years now?
About 6 years almost now. Like 5 to 6, yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody who is having a hard time finding books? They don't know where to go. Maybe the thrift stores are a bit competitive in their area. What's the best advice for how to find books for a beginner to sell on Amazon?
If the thrifting isn't good in your area, I'd probably work on libraries. I mean, pretty much every town has a library. A lot of times they'll have, usually twice a year, they'll have like a big sale. They're usually in the spring and in the fall. So you can definitely go to those. You can usually do really well there. If they don't have any sales, you could always maybe approach them and be like, hey, do you get book donations?
Yeah.
What do you do with that? I've personally never done that just because I've had enough sources, but yeah, you can do well with that.
And you say currently right now, you said you're going to 3 thrift stores a day? Is that what you normally do?
3 a day. When I was heavy with it, I was going to 6 or 7 a day.
But now you have the bulk coming in, so you don't have to go to as many.
It's time consuming going. That's the biggest thing is each thrift store.
And on average, how many books can you find going to 3 thrift stores per day? Like what's the range that people can expect, at least from your experience?
For me, it does depend. Certain days are obviously you're going to hit really well, other days you won't, but you should be able to get 50 books going to 3.
And
you might be able to get 100.
And is there like a minimum profit that you're looking per book, like from a thrift store?
There is, yeah. Depends on the price. I mean, around me, a lot of the books are $4, $3.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get at least a $3 profit.
Okay.
And that's on something that's selling really, really quick. If it's a higher ranking thing, that's not gonna sell as fast.
So speaking of, it's selling quickly, the way that you can gauge if a book's going to sell quick, there's 2 factors. One is looking at the sales rank and then the e-score. There's other ways as well that are a bit more advanced, but for a brand new seller, someone who's new, who isn't super advanced or just starting, people always ask, well, what's the highest rank I should go for, or what's the e-score that I should be aiming for? So could you give some baseline, general rules of thumb for someone who's new and doesn't really understand Keepa and like advanced.
Gotcha. So if you're using Scout IQ and it says like e-score of 151 plus, that means it's pretty much selling every day, probably multiple copies. So on a book like that, even if it's only maybe $1 profit, you'll probably get it. If it's an e-score of, let's say, 2 or 3, that means it's only sold like 2 times in the past 6 months. So for something like that, I would probably want at least a $7, maybe $10 minimum profit.
Yeah, so the lower the e-score, the more profit, because it could take longer to sell.
And what it could also tank easier.
Yeah, and what about rank? I always tell people, just as a general rule of thumb, like if you're new and you don't know what you're doing, just try to stay under $1 million. Obviously, I've sold hundreds of books over $1 million. Do you have any better advice?
That was definitely the thing when I first started. It was like, if it was $1 million and one, nope.
No, I'm passing. I don't care if it's $70 profit.
Yeah. So I usually stay under about 2 to 3 million.
Oh.
If it's well sold, like if it has enough meat on the bone. If there's no FBA offers, sometimes you can get the sale that way. Also, a good thing to look at is if you're using Scout IQ, it usually will have sell back your book integrated into it. So if they're paying money for the book, let's say it's a high ranking book, and they're paying money for it, that usually means it might not sell very fast, but it's probably a winner. So
how important is it that the merchant price and the FBA price is somewhat close? Like, for example, say you scan a book and maybe it's a 2 million ranked book, which is a bit higher, and the merchant pricing is at 5, and then FBA is at like 47, and there's like 6 or 7 sellers at 5, 525, 550 as merchants, and then FBA is up at like 45. Is that something to kind of keep an eye out for?
Definitely. That was probably one of my biggest mistakes starting out.
Me too. That's why
I didn't even care about them when I first started out. The merchant fulfilled price meant nothing to me. I was just solely looking at FBA. And what happens is that FBA price is gonna you'll notice every week it'll get lower and lower.
It's chasing the merchants.
Yeah.
Because you have one, I hate to say dum-dum, but it's true. It's like, I guess nobody's a dum-dum because whoever priced it that high should have like never priced it that high to begin with, unless there's some like info on Keepa. But like, you really got to pay attention to Keepa charts, and even Scout IQ, because like, if the buy box is at 15 and 17 and someone starts it at 50, like maybe you could get lucky with a sale, but like you said, it's going to slowly just come back down.
Exactly. Once in a while, you'll get that
Oh, you'll
sale,
get them, yeah.
It's, the 99 times you won't, so.
But that's the biggest mistake. And for folks who are new and you don't know what a merchant is versus an FBA, FBA means you put everything in a box, you ship it to Amazon, it's Prime eligible, they fulfill it. People think they're buying from Amazon, so you just get a lot more of a premium. Merchant is selling as like, you're like an eBay seller. You store it at your house, you fulfill it, you provide all the customer service, and people want to buy through FBA sellers because they think it's coming from Amazon. It's free 1 to 2 day shipping.
Exactly.
There's other benefits. So like, we're FBA sellers. Is that where you are as well?
Yep. During the restock, back 2021, Amazon slashed everyone's limits of how much they could send in.
You went to merchant.
I did for a while. Not as good as FBA, that's for sure.
It's a lot of work being a merchant. People say, here's a good question. People say, well, why would I be an FBA seller when the fees are so high? I love this one.
Yeah, well,
I'll let you take it. Run with it.
I mean, you can usually get a higher premium for the book, so it usually offsets the fees. That's the main thing. Also, it's just the convenience of it, not having
the time that it takes.
Not having to worry with shipping it out, finding the right box or packaging to fit it.
Yeah, because I mean, some days, for me right now, some days on FBA, I'm selling 30, 40 items, and that would take 2-3 hours or so to ship those out. I mean, if I had a bad system, like obviously you can do it within an hour or less, like if you had a really good system or a team, but I love FBA because they literally fulfilled by Amazon. They do everything. They pick it, pack it, ship it, deal with customer service, deal with the returns, angry customers.
Yeah, during the restock limits when I was merchant fulfilling, every Monday was like a full day just shipping out things. So I'd have all the sales from Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and it took a long time. It took a long time to do. So
talk to the people out there who maybe want to make an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month profit. Is it possible with books, and I want you to be fully transparent, or do you think, because on social media everyone's talking about selling on Amazon and making money, like what's the truth about selling books or just selling on Amazon in general? Like, is there a possibility to earn $1,000 to $2,000 a month? I mean, you're obviously doing a lot more than that, but for the average person who doesn't you've been doing it for 7 years, could the average person make a couple grand, or is it just too hard for any Joe Schmo to do it?
You definitely can. Definitely does take some time though. I mean, if you're doing it, let's say you have a full-time job, you go to a few thrift stores after work. Probably if you're in like a popular area, all the good books have probably been taken by someone that's full-time going there when they're putting them out. You'll still get some, but you're probably not going to get the
cream of the crop.
The cream of the crop is probably going to be picked. So you have to worry about that. It does take time too, going to different thrift stores, even though I only spend probably 20 minutes actually scanning.
Well, you live near them. You're lucky. We both are. I'm surrounded by some of the best thrift stores in my area, and you are too.
Yeah, but still, dealing with, and you have to check out, and then you have to drive to the next one, hit traffic.
Bring everything inside.
Yeah, and then by the time, then you still have to grade them and list them. So it is time consuming, but.
So would you say that's the biggest downside to selling books is just, if you're going to thrift stores, it's just so time consuming to find?
Definitely the time consumingness, yep.
Yeah, and you know, the biggest mistake, I'll be vulnerable since you're sharing some things. The biggest mistake I made for years was only relying on thrift stores. Thrift stores are amazing if you're full-time, if you build relationships, if you know at the right times. Like, I'm not gonna expose your honey hole, but you told me you have to go at a certain time during the week at a certain time. If you don't, you're kind of ish out of luck. And
Exactly.
It's like, if you don't know when to go, if you don't have those relationships built, like if you don't have some really good thrift stores in your area, you might have to find books in other ways. True. And most people don't want to. Like for me, I was so just like, I'm only gonna thrift. And like recently, my whole business has gone to online arbitrage. I'm like, why did I not do this sooner? And it's like, people just wanna do what's comfortable. And you've been branching out lately too. So what advice would you give to people who can't find books? Maybe they're scared to try libraries, or they're scared to try garage sales or online arbitrage, or, you know, for example, we got a ton of books recently from another reseller who doesn't sell on Amazon, and he didn't want to sell it on eBay either. He didn't want to deal with it all. So we picked a bunch, we made a couple $1,000s. Like, what advice would you give to someone who is just scared to try other things?
I mean, you gotta just try basically, but start small. I mean,
That's
you could
good
do
advice.
Yeah,
Try a little at first.
Try a little at first. I mean, you could do like eFlip, which is buying books online from Amazon and then reselling.
Yeah, it's like online arbitrage. Yeah, a lot of people don't know you could buy stuff off Amazon to flip back on FBA.
Yeah, that is more capital intensive, but you can try it. You can just buy a couple
and
books.
And on eBay too. That's what I do. Yeah. All my inventory is purchased off eBay and Facebook. Facebook Marketplace is a huge opportunity now with books.
Yeah, that I never use that, but I know a lot of people have success with that.
Because their filtering system's messed up now. So like, you could go like type in textbook, it doesn't show, but if you type in the specific ASIN or the specific title, like it'll come up. And like some people ship, some people are only local. I think Facebook Marketplace, it's hard work as well. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, books are there. It's just how you want to find them. There's many different ways to find them. So
check out booksalefinder.com.
Yep, that's a good one.
For library sales. You can find a ton. And like TJ was saying, just go to your local library. My local library has a book sale a couple times a week. It's not even advertised.
Yeah, they usually have little things too, ongoing library sales where they probably only put a handful out each week or whatever, but it's good just to practice. You know, you're probably only paying $1 or $2 there, so if you make some mistakes, you're not out too much.
I had a friend who built a relationship with Goodwill years ago. They don't do this anymore. And he used to be able to go into the back room and scan all the books before they came out. So all of us little reseller vultures were going and trying to get it, but all the books were gone because he was already back there.
There you go.
That's called backroom access. So you could always ask. It's a little tougher now. Have you ever gotten backroom access?
I've honestly never really asked, but
dude, what happens in the back room at a Goodwill stays in the back room at Goodwill.
Yeah, I've never asked you. I mean, you could.
Yeah.
I don't know if some people say it's like a moral thing.
Yeah,
I don't know,
it's one of those things. It's like, it's a little creepy, I guess. But what final advice would you give to the folks out there who want to get started? They don't know how to start the best way to just get your foot in the door? Yeah,
just start small. Even if you just send in like one book to FBA just to practice. I mean, because usually you'd want to send close to 50 pounds per box, which is usually about 30 books. But just send a couple in. You might not make anything, but you'll at least learn the process of how to do it.
Yeah, once you learn how to ship, it's a lot easier. And there's a lot of great free YouTube videos and stuff like that. I actually have a free workshop, 100% free. It's a 5-day workshop that will teach you literally how to source, list, ship, how to use all the software. So I'll put that down below. It's raikenprofit.com/workshop. And I also talk a lot about what types of books to go after. I know you go after textbooks. Is there anything else that you like to go after?
Basically anything nonfiction for the most part.
So no fiction.
I don't hit fiction. Also like anything box sets usually do well.
I love people leave those behind why did they leave them behind? I don't get it. I always see box sets and they're always profitable.
Yeah. Some children's books, like the pop-up children's books, those usually do well.
Cool.
And those are often overlooked at thrift stores. So maybe someone in your area is taking all the textbooks and stuff, but there's usually something there. Ones without barcodes you can look up.
That's a really good tip. Use the Amazon seller app to scan the cover.
To scan the cover, yep. Or you can use the OCR code on Scout IQ.
Yep.
If there's no. So a lot of people, I usually leave the barcode ones behind if I'm.
Oh really?
If I'm in a rush, I just want to get just the real cherries. But there's still books I'm leaving behind. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so just go out there, frequent it regularly, find your honey holes, figure out what times to go, and yeah, I just want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you, man.
Six-figure Amazon bookseller coming on, dropping some knowledge. Again, if you guys have any questions or anything, first check out the free workshop down below, 100% free. Literally no courses or anything. It's free value. I brought a student to my house and taught him everything, so that'll help you a lot. You're not really heavy on social media, right? So people are going to have to.
Yeah, find me on, if you're friends with Raiken on Facebook, just search TJ, try to add me. If you do, I'll accept it. I don't post any book content, so.
Yeah, all right. Well, hey, we tried. But much love, guys. Appreciate you. Good luck, and go get that money. Bye.